Are you a leader who's desiring a little bit more authenticity in the way you show up in the world? Maybe you are a leader that secretly has a super strong inner critic and a really strong inclination for perfectionism. What I've learned over my years of my own leadership experience and leading others is that having a super strong inner critic and being very perfectionistic tends to lead to very high levels of stress, taking on too much onto your own shoulders, more responsibility than what's needed. It leads to higher unreasonable expectations for yourself than what you have for others. And it really distracts from your focus of actually getting done what you need to get done. I'm authentic leadership coach and author Vicki Haddock, and I want to share with you just a couple tips about how to break this habit of perfectionism and that nasty inner critic. Well, here's a couple things. I want you to begin getting curious about what can you control and what can't you control. So as it relates to the inner critic, what you can control is choosing your thoughts. And often we don't think about this because we're so caught up in believing that every thought that we think is true and real, because it often feels very true and real for us. But I'd like you to try this experiment. Next time your inner critic wants to blame you harshly for something, pause and take a moment to get curious and say, one, is this thought I'm having really true? Is there any evidence that it's true aside from the evidence that your mind is presenting to you? And are there any other perspectives that could be possible here? I'm just letting you know that the one perspective that you have from the lens of your mind is about one in a million perspectives that could be adapted. So beginning to open up our perspective to see things from a different lens helps us to dial back that pressure that we've put on ourselves, that we are like the sole problem and cause of everything happening. No, you don't have that much power in the world. I hate to tell you that, but you really don't. The sun is going to rise and set whether you get everything done today or not. So interrupting that inner critic, being curious, thinking about what other perspectives could be here for me, and realizing it's not all up to me. It's okay to ask for help and dial back those expectations. I recently had a client who had a coworker who was gone for an extended period of time. And during that time, she took on both roles and had a very, very high expectation, a very perfectionistic expectation of herself that she needed to get all of her work done and all of this other person's work done to the same level of efficiency as she normally would do things. And her inner critic was being very hard on her that she wasn't able to do that in a very perfectionistic manner. And as we talked about that, we opened up to seeing that it is an unreasonable expectation to expect yourself to function the same under much different circumstances. And what she also acknowledged is that her boss had made it okay for her to ask for help. Like there were other resources or people available that could have helped her out, but she was so focused on proving that she could do it all herself that she didn't ask for that help. So when she opened up to new perspectives, she could see that one, nobody was expecting her to do it all alone. There was help available to her. And it was really believing the thought that she had to do it all and that she had to buy in, this kind of unconscious perfectionistic expectation that she had. That was all causing this extremely high stress. So she realized that in the future, noticing when that inner critic flares up, when the stress meter goes up, it's time to pause, reflect, open up for different perspectives, be curious of different possibilities, and maybe even it's time to collaborate with others on how they can support you through a time. All right. What's meaningful for you from this conversation? I'd love to know. Pop in the comments below what was meaningful for you. And if you have a topic or an expansion of this that you would like to hear me address, please use the form below to submit a question or a comment on what you're taking away from this. All right. I'm Authentic Leadership Coach Vicki Haddock, and I'm wishing you to be well, and I'll see you in the next conversation.